I'm going to call the meeting to order. Thank you. Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Here.
Denise Chapman.
Here.
Amy Doran. Don Kirk.
Here.
Barbara Cruz.
Here.
Alexandra Lessem.
Here.
Nancy Rumpel.
Here. Thank you, Laura Lee. And Nancy, will you lead us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Nancy. And Stu, will you read the mission?
Yes, thank you. I have it in the folder, but thank you for rescuing me on that. The Thompson School District will be a school district that empowers, challenges, and inspires students, faculty, staff, parents, school leaders, and community members to learn, achieve, and excel.
Thank you, Stu. The first item of business is the adoption of the agenda. So are there any changes to the agenda for today, May 21st, 2025?
Yes, I have a suggestion for a change in the agenda. It's item 4.3, Board Committee Reports. I'm going to suggest that we dispense with that this evening for two reasons. Number one, we have a lengthy agenda, and we'll save some time by not including those in the meeting. And then I had the opportunity yesterday to look through the reports that all of us have actually filed that will be put online. They're lengthy, they're complete, and community members who are interested in knowing what the board does when we're not involved in meetings up here, you can go to the district website, and there you'll be able to see the many different activities and events that we have supported in the last month. So I move to remove the board reports from the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, is there any other discussion or any comment about it? Okay, Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman.
Aye.
Amy Doran. Don Kirk.
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpel.
Aye.
Thank you. So the motion is approved. We will move on to the approval of the minutes, and we have 4 sets of minutes to approve. So the first one is approval of the minutes for our regular meeting, which was April 16th, 2025. Does anyone have any changes or corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes for April 16th, 2025.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. First from Alexandra, thank you, and second from Don. Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman.
Aye.
Amy Doran. Don Kirk.
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpel.
Aye.
All right, that motion is passed. 4.2 is the approval of the minutes for May 1, 2025, and that was a special meeting where we interviewed their candidates. So does anybody have any changes or corrections to the minutes of that meeting? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll move.
Thank you, Nancy.
I'll second.
And Stu. So we have first from Nancy, second from Stu. Laura Lee, will you please call the roll?
Stu Boyd,
Aye.
Denise Chapman,
Aye.
Amy Doran, Don Kirk,
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexander Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpfelt.
Aye.
All right. The next one is the approval of the minutes for May 7th, 2025. This was the special meeting that we had where we made the announcement of our superintendent. It was very short. Does anybody have any corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes for May 7th, 2025.
Second.
Who was that? Thank you. Denise and Don. All right. Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd,
Aye.
Denise Chapman,
Aye.
Amy Doran, Don Kirk,
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexander Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpfelt.
Aye.
Thank you. So that one also passes. The last one is the approval of the minutes for May 7th, 2025. This was our study session that we had after we had our special meeting. Are there any changes to the minutes? Hearing none, I will take a motion to approve the minutes for May 7th, 2025.
So move.
Second.
So first from Stu and a second from Don. Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd,
Aye.
Denise Chapman,
Aye.
Amy Doran, Don Kirk,
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexander Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpfelt.
Aye.
Thank you. That's one big page done. 4.1 is the superintendent's report. So I'll turn that over to Dr. Schaefer.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the Board of Education. I am pleased to provide you with a report on many of the activities that have gone on for the past month here in our district. So we'll first start with Teacher Appreciation Week. May 5th through May 9th was designated as National Teacher Appreciation Week for 2025. The commemorative week was created as an opportunity for students, families, and community members to recognize educational professionals for their service and dedication. As part of this year's celebration, TSD spotlighted 5 dedicated and hardworking teachers from across the district. Those stories can be found on our website at tsd.org and on our social media channels. In addition to those 5 inspiring stories, we also invited students and family members to nominate a favorite teacher for recognition on our social media accounts. Many of our schools honored teachers in special ways throughout the week. A huge thank you goes out to all of our amazing teachers and instructional staff across the district. And a little bit later on this evening, you'll be asked to pass a resolution commemorating Teacher Appreciation Week. The 2025 Trailblazing Thompson, a Salute to Excellence event took place on Tuesday, April 22nd at Embassy Suites in Loveland. The event recognized outstanding staff across the district, honoring Top of Thompson, Awards of Excellence, and Community Champion awardees, along with recognizing TSD retirees and the Thompson Education Foundation Educator of the Year winners. This year was the first time that all recognition categories were celebrated together, and the event was a big success with a lot of positive and encouraging feedback. Students from across the district submitted plans for the 2025 Youth Make a Difference contest, sharing both big and small ideas designed to create a positive impact in their schools or communities. This year's elementary winners are Winona Elementary 4th graders Quinn Backen and Kinsley Schmidt, whose project focuses on improving the school's reading room to increase access to resources and create more opportunities for reading. The secondary school's winner is Mountain View High School freshman Luca Legendre, who plans to coordinate a skincare drive for underserved populations, offering both products and educational resources. Congratulations to all 3 students. Your projects are inspiring and will truly make a difference. On April 25th, 165 talented 4th and 5th graders from 15 Thompson School District elementary schools competed in the 3rd annual TSD Elementary Robotics Scrimmage League competition at Loveland High School. Each team participated in an interview with judges who evaluated them on core values, including discovery, innovation, impact, inclusion, teamwork, and fun, as well as their robot design, which showcased their building and coding skills. Family members filled the bleachers, cheering on their teams through 3 exciting rounds of robot performance. Teams strategized which missions to tackle during their 2.5-minute matches to score as many points as possible. At the end of April, all three of my student advisory groups met for the final time this school year. At this month's board study session, the high school group presented their proposals on two major topics, substance abuse and class offerings, and did a wonderful job. The administrative team and I always enjoy meeting with these incredible students to learn about their school experiences and to hear their valuable feedback. On Wednesday, May 7th, the TSD Career and College Readiness Team hosted their annual Impact Awards event, which celebrates students as well as businesses and community partners and the meaningful impact that they make on career futures. Hosted at the Forge Event Center in Loveland, the celebration included recognition of valuable partners as well as the presentation of several Impact Awards. This past Thursday, we proudly celebrated the 2025 Project Search graduates at Banner McKee Health Center. Congratulations to all 6 incredible students who completed this life-changing program. Project Search is a dynamic, one-year school-to-work program that empowers young adults with disabilities ages 18 to 21 to build real-world job skills and confidence for competitive employment. We're very proud of these graduates and all that they've accomplished. May 15th was a special day in TSD as students from across the district participated in the 2nd annual Elementary Unified Sports Day at Thompson Valley High School. These young athletes had the opportunity to experience the excitement of participating in a variety of sporting events. Students, staff, and volunteers all had a wonderful time, and it was heartwarming to see so many smiles throughout the field at Patterson Stadium. Well, there's a familiar face. Congratulations to Stu Boyd and Caitlin Little, who were recognized by CADA, which is the Colorado Athletics Directors Association. Again, congratulations to our very own Stu Boyd, Vice President, who was recently named the 2024-2025 Outstanding Board Member for the Colorado Athletics Directors Association. Mr. Boyd was presented the award in recognition of his valued service and contributions to Colorado interscholastic athletics. CADA also presented its Scholar Athlete of the Year award to Caitlin Little from Loveland High School, which included a $500 scholarship. The organization's mission is to support educational athletic programs through the promotion of the professional growth and image of interscholastic administrators. The awards were presented at the organization's 52nd annual conference in Breckenridge. So is Ileana Collins, are you here? Can you come forward, please? So this is not a stranger to us. Ileana has been, first she was a semifinalist, then she was a finalist, and now she's a legitimate winner here, and she's always been a winner. But as mentioned last month, we want to congratulate Mountain View High School senior Ileana Collins, who was selected as a 2025 Betcher Scholar, as well as a recipient of the Daniel Scholarship, so both. So winning both of these awards is an exceptional honor, and we are very, very proud of her accomplishments. Ileana plans on attending Colorado College in Colorado Springs this fall, and we're going to take our first picture of the evening. How's that sound? I'm going to invite up Sarah Rasmussen, as well as we have 3 principals this evening who we want to recognize and honor, so you can make your way up, and then we will, I'll read some words here. At a ceremony hosted last Friday in Denver, the state of Colorado's Department of Education, CDE, formally presented academic achievement awards to 3 Thompson School District schools. The awards were earned as a result of student assessments that were completed last year. Administered each spring, the state of Colorado's assessment program is a standards-based process designed to measure student performance at schools throughout the state. Berthoud Elementary School and Coyote Ridge Elementary School were presented with the 2024 John Irwin Schools of Excellence Award, which is given to schools that demonstrate exceptional academic achievement over time. Carey Martin Elementary School captured the 2024 Governor's Distinguished Improvement Award, which is presented to schools that demonstrate exceptional student growth. We want to congratulate these three schools. We have our proud principals from each of these schools representing. And again, we're really proud not only of you, but of your staff and of your students for this wonderful achievement. Congratulations. So we're going to invite you forward, and I understand we have some staff members from these schools as well. If you'd like to come forward, and we'll do one big grand picture and board. This evening, we move on to our Top of Thompson and Community Champion recognitions. This evening, we have classified and licensed, although we'll start with classified. We don't have either the nominator or the nominee there, but I will recognize them. Our classified award winner, and again, these are peer nominated recognitions that we do monthly, celebrating staff and organizations throughout our district. So Tracy Doctor, who is our insurance benefits specialist, was nominated by Steve Fry. So neither of them are present tonight, but we will make sure that Tracy does receive her award. But our licensed are both present, and so I'm going to invite Christine Tina Trout, who is a kindergarten teacher at Berthoud Elementary. And Christine, if you would come forward. Christine was nominated by Anna Marie Pike. So please come forward to the podium. I hear beeps. They may be in the other room, so we'll, and here they are. We'll have you go to the podium, please, sorry. So if you would read the nomination, please.
Oh,
Oh, we got it.
gotcha. Thank you. All right, so this is Tina Trout. She teaches kindergarten at Berthoud Elementary School. Tina demonstrates all the qualities of an exemplary teammate and member of a school community. She is driven and shows an abundance of initiative to support her teammates and students. She's not afraid to try new ideas or take constructive criticism to make positive change for all kids. She advocates for each of her students, no matter their skill or need, to ensure that all students are able to feel successful and confident. Whenever there's a need on our kindergarten teaching team, she's the first to lend a helping hand, to provide coverage, to help with lesson plans, or to just take something off our plates to support us. She always has a positive outlook and attitude, and she loves to share some TLC with other staff. I cannot imagine our school without her.
Congratulations. So there's a small plaque for you that we'd like you to take, and these are our only awardee for this evening. We'd love to take a picture with you if that's okay.
Computer crashed. Yes.
1, 2, 3.
And before I wrap up, I do want to mention Community Champion Award, and they're not here this evening, but we'll still mention. So Kids Hope Mentoring Program, Lori Fulka was nominated by Jessica Hinterberg. But again, we'll make sure that Lori and Kids Hope gets the recognition. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. We're going to skip over 4.3, so we're going to move to 4.4, which is public comment. So, Don, would you please read the public comment protocol?
Because the board wants to hear the viewpoints of the public and also needs to conduct its business in an orderly and efficient manner, it will schedule time during its regular board meetings for brief comments and questions from the public. The board will set a time for public participation prior to the business portion of the meeting. The time for each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes, and each individual will only be recognized once. If there is a large number of speakers, the board may elect to take comments for 1 hour before the business meeting and conclude public comment after the business meeting. Public comments and questions at a regular meeting may deal with any topic related to the board's conduct of the schools. Speakers may offer such criticism of school operations and programs as concern them, but are encouraged to exercise their speech rights responsibly. Speakers' remarks should be suitable for an audience that includes kindergarten through 12th grade students. Personnel matters will be discussed in executive session. Finally, as a reminder to all present, the board and staff do not respond to public comment. This is our opportunity to hear from students, parents, and patrons. The board may discuss public comments later in the agenda or on future agendas. So this evening, I will be reading 2 and 3 names ahead so that people can get in from overflow. So if you hear your name, you're going to be cued. Up first, we have Frankie Dixon. And as you come up, as you start talking, the light will go green. When you have 30 seconds left, it'll go to yellow. And then when you're done, it'll flash for you. Oh, sorry. Yes, thank you for the reminder of what I just said. Nate Donovan and then Claire Doyle. Okay, now we go.
And quick question, I'm signed up way later. Can I just use the balance?
We can't do that. Sorry. Go ahead.
Hola, me llamo Frankie y llevo 6 años en el programa de DLI, que me ha brindado muchas oportunidades y experiencias, y también a todos los profesores que me ayudaron a aprender tanto, que son increíbles, y a todos los amigos que has hecho aquí y en México. Estoy emocionado de ir a Bill Reed, donde seguir aprendiendo español. Gracias por brindarme esa oportunidad. Por favor, siguen impulsando ese programa porque es muy importante. Gracias.
Next, we have Nate Donovan, then Claire Doyle, then Jana Marksich.
Good evening, President Cruz, board members, Dr. Schaefer, and community members. My name is Nate Donovan. I have served as a school bus driver in the Thompson School District for 7.5 years and have been active in pre-K to 12 education for 12 years. I also serve as treasurer of our Thompson Educational Support Professionals Association, known also as TESPA. Behind me and in the full overflow room are supporters wearing blue. Following me will be several folks with public comment in what I always thought was one of the most interesting parts of the school board meeting, especially when you hear unique perspectives or something unexpected. On behalf of a significant number of overall classified employees and dozens of my fellow transportation colleagues who signed the petition to you asking for recognition of TESPA, I offer the following example of the impact on mentoring students that classified employees have on a daily basis. I recently received a thank you note and graduation party invitation from a student who has ridden my bus for several years. It was surprisingly touching to me, and I share it with you. Nate, I just wanted to thank you for driving me around all of these years. You were there for me when I needed it, and I appreciate you. I will miss you. Thanks again. And there was a particular incident with this student that I didn't realize the impact that my actions had on her, and I was very touched to receive that thank you note. We have the great honor and responsibility to help our students thrive, and TESPA has been active in holding listening sessions to gain an understanding of the highs and lows of the work our fellow classified colleagues do for students, families, and the community. We respectfully ask you to include our collective classified voices in negotiating the employment agreement. Such collaborative efforts can work well. I have seen it in action in a neighboring school district. Thank you for your consideration, support, and your efforts generally on the school board.
Next, we have Claire Doyle, then Jana Marksuch, and Cody Pierce. I'm so sorry for how I pronounce names.
Good evening. My name is Claire Doyle. I am a paraprofessional in our district. I have been a para here since 2001. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you today. I would like to bring up some of the issues that the paras face throughout our district. The number one complaint I hear is that we do not get paid enough. We always hear that we could not survive or support our families on our own. Many of us are needing to work additional jobs just to pay our bills. I personally did house cleaning for 20 plus years just to make ends meet, and I'm hardly an isolated case. Even when we're promised to receive raises, the amount is often so insignificant that it does not make any difference to our day-to-day lives. I have shown my loyalty to this district for going on 25 years, and this is how myself and others get treated. It is disgusting. Supposedly, our classified staff advisory committee does a meet and confer for raises. My honest opinion is that I do not believe any negotiating is taking place on our behalf. I also hear very consistently that we do not have enough help. We have been understaffed for quite a number of years. The job is hard work. Every year is different and has different demands. We encounter very physical demands, lots of screaming and crying, refusal, and violent behaviors. Of course, we also have very happy, hardworking, and delightful students. I have had years where I started the year off with no teacher, and I was the only para. No one has ever offered any type of compensation for the unfilled positions I have covered. In actuality, there has never even been an offer of appreciation. We are just expected to do it. We cover all of our students when the teacher needs to be out of the room for meetings such as IEPs, individualized education plans, and weekly special ed meetings. When we need to evacuate the classroom due to a student being unsafe, we can end up out of our room for a couple hours, and we are teaching the students during that time. We oftentimes do not get our absences covered by substitute teachers or paras. Quite often, our subs are not really capable of being much help to us in our classrooms. It is also pretty consistently heard that paras do not feel respected. We are on an island by ourselves. As I have already stated, we are many times short-staffed. When we cannot get a sub for us, we are on the absence list, but it is never asked for staff to help fill our position like it is for teachers in our building.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
We have Jana Marksich, Cody Pierce, and Lola Nelson.
Good evening. My name is Jana Markswa. I am currently a certified health tech for the Thompson School District. Prior to this position, I worked as an ILC paraprofessional at one of our middle schools. I am here tonight to stress the importance of a contract for the education support professionals. First, I would like to address the need for respect for our individuals who work tirelessly to create strong, supportive, and safe environments for our students. Whether it's food services, custodial duties, health aides, paraprofessionals, or any of the other important functions that hold these schools together, you will find individuals working with strength and passion to provide spaces allowing our students to thrive. These individuals are frequently taken for granted. Given the time constraints of tonight's meeting, I will focus on just one position, that of the ILC paraprofessional. ILC stands for Intensive Learning Classroom and means that it supports students with significant disabilities. Who here understands what an ILC para does on a daily basis? You just heard Claire. I'll give you a hint. It's a whole lot more than babysitting or flipping burgers. Let me explain who our students are. We have incredible students who have challenges the majority of you will never understand. Our students may be in wheelchairs, walking, or struggling to walk. They may be hard of hearing, deaf, mostly blind, or completely blind. They may have feeding tubes, feeding tubes, trachs, and other medical devices. They have barriers to learning like behaviors, cognitive impairment, and neurodiverse brains. They will struggle to learn, but they will learn because of our belief that all children have the right to a free and appropriate education in this country. So every para will be learning about leading the blind, basic Braille, behavior patterns, medical conditions like recognizing seizures, feeding through a GI tube, which is often different for different students, various ways to assist students with toileting, the differences between adaptive learning and modifications to learning, various forms of communication from basic sign language, adaptive devices, gestures, verbal and nonverbal. Our paraprofessionals will learn behavior patterns, avoidance tactics, positive behavior support, documentation of behavior, and so much more. They will do all of this while frequently understaffed, underappreciated, and overworked. Their turnover can be high. Why? Because the rate of pay does not match the expectations. Low pay often leads to low quality applicants, people who are not aware of the complexities of this position. I have seen new hires who believe their job is just to babysit. I have heard those same people exclaim, "Why teach them to learn? They'll never learn it." Wrong. With paraprofessionals like myself and the many who I know who are committed, our children will thrive, meet milestones, be safe, and feel loved. Our students don't want a babysitter. They want to learn, grow, and be the best they can, just like everyone else. By creating a contract, you will be showing us that you see our hard work, respect us,
Thank
and
you.
understand that you need to be there.
Cody Pierce and Lola Nelson, and then Jennifer DeLong.
I know that you're all very passionate about being here tonight, and I appreciate that you are here. I would like you to hold the applause so that we can get as many in as possible, because once an hour is up, we're probably going to have to stop. Okay? Thank you.
Good evening, President Cruz, board members, Superintendent Dr. Schaefer, staff, and community members. My name is Cody Pierce, and I'm a parent. I'm a spouse of one of your staff members, and I'm also a fellow administrator from another district. My wife, Janet Pierce, is excited to join Thompson in August of 2024, and especially Riverview. She was hired into a position that she had 10 years of experience at the high school level and was so eager to start in the elementary and middle school level as a library media specialist and technology facilitator. She was discouraged, however, on the 3 days before school started when she found out she was going to be teaching 2 Raptor 101 classes 5 days a week. She was given one piece of paper and told that's the curriculum for an entire semester. While she is not a certified teacher, she immediately knew one page of paper is not a semester's worth of work. When she tried to explain that she was not credentialed, she asked not to be lesson planning, taking attendance, recording, and submitting grades, along with a number of other teacher responsibilities. She was told that in her job description, it says instruct. While she doesn't mind instructing, it is not appropriate that she is a classified employee, is the teacher of record, doing lesson plans, grading, classroom discipline, and so much more. As she worked with her administration and district administrators, she asked if she was going to be allowed to doing all of these teacher tasks like other teachers for prep and for compensation. While they did make adjustments for her prep time, which she was grateful for, they could not pay her as a teacher because she doesn't have a license. If she's doing the job of a teacher for those 2 periods, she should be paid like one, or she should not be required to be a teacher of record. She also found out during this process that her colleagues in similar jobs at other schools saw these types of classes 1 time a week for 30 minutes, where she's seeing them for 45 minutes every day, 5 days a week. While she does the best she can, neither position is being done at the level of which she expects of herself because she's pulled in too many directions. She's worked hard to build curriculum for her students. She's worked hard to program for the library and the media tech facilitator position. There were and continue to be inequities in regards to the work she is being asked to do compared to her fellow library media specialists and technology facilitators. She loves Riverview and her job. At the same time, she should not be the teacher of record, be required to do all of those things that teachers are, because she is not a teacher. This should be a licensed teacher. Even if she continues to be the teacher of record, she should be compensated as a teacher, at least honor the 10 years of service she's already done in this position. Weld 4 and Windsor and Severance has already said that they will use her past experience to increase her step in column. Rather than $18.81 an hour here, she'll be making closer to $23 an hour, which is what she made in California, where we came from. She's just one example of the inequities here in the district. We choose to be a part of this district. Please help her stay here.
Next up, we got Lola Nelson, Jennifer DeLong, and Betty Pascal.
My name is Lola Nelson. Thank you I'm happy to be here, but I do have some concerns as a custodian for the Thompson School District. I've been a custodian since 2007. I'm coming up on 18 years. I feel like our department does not get recognized. They make a lot of promises and it doesn't happen. Like equipment, carrying tables. I have asked for a cart for the past 5 years and have said, yes, we'll get it, and I still haven't seen it. As you can see, my arm is from lifting tables. We don't get enough support. Our managers make a lot of promises and they don't support us when it comes to people not doing their jobs. And I have to go and help. I'm just a little nervous to be up here. I was not expecting this. I work 2 jobs. I work at Walmart. I leave from Berthoud High School and I go to Walmart, and here are my notes. And so in order for me to survive, I have to keep 2 jobs because what I make is not enough to support myself, my family. And I feel like without us, how are kids going to achieve? If we don't clean, how are they going to come to school if they get sick? They're our future. There are lawyers. There are doctors. They're our future. Without us, our students would not be here. And so I am speaking for the custodial department to please approve this. We need more money. We work really hard and we don't get recognized. Thank you.
Jennifer DeLong, then Betty Pascal, and Andy Chrisman.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer DeLong. I work as a paraprofessional in the Effective Learning Center. My first year I worked in the Intensive Learning Center. I've been in the ALC program for 7 years now. The students I work with have high behavioral needs due to trauma. I love these students and what I do. There have been numerous times my job has required me to go above and beyond the job description. I used to buy educational materials out of pocket to help students with their learning and success and incentives. This one time I bought special pencil grips for a couple of the students, which increased their writing abilities and the motivation to write. I have not been able to do this type of things this year because of the cost of living is so high, it does not match our cost of living increase. The stress of financial burden of a single income household does take a toll outside and at school. It is taking good quality people away from the students who need selfless, caring, and devoted classified staff that can't continue to commit to afford to this career. Our classified staff deserve financial security and respect. There are so many devoted classified staff that give their hearts and their souls to the students they work with. We deserve a career autonomy with the district and the board through union recognition.
We have Betty Pascal, Andy Chrisman, and then Rob Eberly.
Good evening, members of the board, co-workers, and interested citizens. I'm Betty Pasquale. I'm a 17-year employee of the Thompson Schools Transportation Department. I'm a bus paraprofessional, or as I like to say, the onboard mama. A story from this: several years ago, I had 2 nonverbal wheelchair girls, one deaf, one blind, with a feeding tube. And they loved to tease me. When I would bend down to hook up one of the wheelchairs, the one behind me would yank on my shirt. And as soon as I turned around to her, the other one would yank on my shirt. And whenever they could, they would try to knock my hat off. And then they'd both laugh like a son of a gun. I love interacting with these special needs kids in unusual and unexpected ways. I also work with non-English speaking youngsters to help them learn English. I enjoy working with kids, but not always with our administrators. Many of us feel the higher-ups don't have our backs when we encounter violent behavior, rudeness, and disrespect from students on the bus. I've been kicked and hit, and others have been bitten and knocked down too. I know 2 of them that have had to quit because of injuries sustained on the job from students. Sometimes I think we need hazard pay. Our pay is not a living wage and is not equal to surrounding districts. Benefits could be better, safety could be better, and appropriate training could be better. Communications could be a lot better. We at Transportation are frequently short-staffed, and with the timing of the bells, any little thing can make us late, including trains. If the school is shorthanded, they can't get out to the bus to take our special needs children off the bus. And then we can be late for the next school stop that we have to make. And that will frequently upset some of these children because it's not their regular way of doing things. Students can't learn if they aren't in a good headspace. And we set the tone for the day. There's no incentive for special skills or advanced training. Someone may have. I speak, read, and write Spanish. Others are certified EMTs. And there's no incentive reward. We're required to take 14 tests at least once a day, or once a year. And we are not, we don't have any say in the matter on.
Next up, we've
Thank you.
got Andy Chrisman, Rob Eberly, and then Liz Waddick.
Hello, Madam President, Dr. Schaefer, members of the Board of Education. I'm Andy Chrisman, a parent of 2 students at Thompson Valley and a past and future worker in the Thompson School District. I'm excited that the members of the Thompson Education Support Professionals Association are petitioning you tonight to elevate their voice to represent over 900 workers in the Thompson School District, and they're filling this room and a room just behind you. Our classified workers are a critical link between the school district, our kids, and our families and our communities. They are the first people our children see in the morning, the people that take care of them when they're hungry or sick, the folks who keep their learning environments clean, and the last folks they see when they leave school. More of our classified workers, I talk pretty, I promise, live in our communities, and more of them have children in our schools than any other group of workers in our school district. Their voices, opinions, and well-being are essential to our well-being as a school system and as a community. In short, we need their voices in order to make sure we are being responsive to our kids, our families, and our community. They deserve wages and working conditions that enable them to continue living in and contributing to our community, because when our classified staff are taken care of, our children are taken care of too. One of my own children entered preschool and kindergarten with a feeding tube and needed help focusing on his eating well into middle school. Classified workers like Ms. Amber, Coach Joe, Miss Ellie, Miss Sherry, and several others made sure Herbie got the nutrition he needed every day. Danielle and I are forever grateful for the loving, patient care and attention he received from so many. I'm particularly excited by the quality of the TESPA leadership that is bringing this petition tonight. Jana Lewis is a TSD graduate, a parent of a TSD graduate, and part of a family that has been deeply involved in serving our community for nearly 50 years. She has worked in several buildings in the school district. She is deeply invested in the success of this community and its children and will represent us well. Nate Donovan is a bus driver, attorney, and was a member of the Poudre School District Board of Education for several years. Poudre negotiates wall-to-wall with all of its workers each year. He understands firsthand what bargaining looks like from a board member's perspective and what board members need in order to feel they are successful in representing community stakeholders in the process. I feel Jana and Nate are the ideal leaders to set up a long-term, successful relationship that gives our classified workers a true, authentic voice in our school district community. I urge you to recognize TESPA as the official voice of classified workers in our school district. Thank you.
We've got Rob Eberly, then Liz Waddick, and Jana Lewis.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Schaefer. My name is Rob Eberly, and I'm a teacher at Mountain View High School, and I've been in the Thompson School District for 25 years. I'm here tonight to voice my strong support for the recognition of the Thompson Education Support Professionals Association as the collective voice of all classified staff in our district. Every day at Mountain View, I see how the school relies on the dedication and hard work of our classified staff. The secretary who comes to work an hour before she's supposed to, paraprofessionals crucial for the support of special needs kids, our campus monitors who keep our halls safe, custodians, food service workers, bus drivers, and so many more who help create and maintain the positive learning environment for our students. Yet the turnover rate in classified staff is high, jobs are hard to fill, and by February of this year, 1 in 5 classified staff had left their position in TSD. At Mountain View and across the district, classified staff are the first to greet our students in the morning and the last to ensure our schools are safe, secure, clean, and ready for the next day. Throughout their day, their contributions are essential. All too often, their voices are not given the platform they deserve in decisions that impact their jobs, their lives, and ultimately the success of our students. Without the support of classified staff throughout the district, teachers, counselors, and principals simply could not do the jobs of educating our children. Recognizing the Thompson Education Support Professionals Association as the collective voice of all classified staff in our district ensures these invaluable staff members have a seat at the table. It affirms that the district believes they deserve safe working conditions, job security, and the respect that comes with being heard. Stronger representation leads to better outcomes, not just for our support staff, but for the entire district. When our entire staff feels valued and supported, our students are better served, and that's a win for our greater Loveland and Berthoud communities. This is not just about fairness, it's about strengthening our schools and the future of our students. Our district cannot function without our classified staff, and they should not have to struggle to be heard. As a member of TEA and you as the board know the positive power of collaborative action. By recognizing their collective voice, we're taking a meaningful step forward into ensuring they receive the agency, demonstrated respect, crucial resources, and stability they need to continue their vital work in the district and continue to live securely in our community. I urge you to do the right thing. I urge the Thompson School Board to recognize the Thompson Education Support Professionals Association as a representative body for all classified staff. Our schools are stronger when we all stand together, and tonight I stand with TESPA. Thank you.
We've got Liz Waddick, then Jana Lewis, then Sue Timer.
Hi, thank you for having me here. My name is Liz Waddick. I'm a Spanish teacher from Summit County. I am currently serving as the Vice President of the Colorado Education Association with 40,000 members strong. And I'm here to assure you that at the state level, we work closely with CASE and CASB, and our needs and our values are often aligned, and the relationship is quite sound. We had reps from both CASE and CASB speak at our rally this year, and we worked together with the common goal of strong public schools for Colorado students. And you've heard from your classified staff about their experience in here at Thompson, and that overflow room is completely full. Their petition for recognition is a sign that these workers are committed and invested in the work of Thompson School District. They're saying that they believe in this district and that they want to be a part of the greater system. That they want to work alongside you all to ensure that the needs of the students are met. As I stated previously, I'm from Summit County, where I taught for the last 18 years. And the cell phones were recently banned at Summit High School. And teachers report better engagement, less distraction, and it's super exciting and expected. But what wasn't expected for me when I walked in this year into Summit as a visitor this year is that the students are all over the commons at Summit High School playing ping pong and life-size Jenga and talking and hanging out, which was different from when I worked there last year. They're no longer playing on their phones. So I approached a group of former students to say, who's winning in the ping pong? And they said, oh, it's definitely Jace, who's a student. And Jace, I said, oh yeah, high five Jace. And he said, it's actually Luis, our custodian. He crushes us. And that, Irma, our bus driver in Summit School District, who used to work in the cafeteria, is a mother to hundreds of Summit County students. And that's the real deal. Our classified staff in our school districts are the lifeblood, the very fabric that makes up our districts. Give them a seat at the table so they can help you do the very best for the students from Thompson. In your strategic plan, Focus Area 2 beautifully speaks of the goal of fostering a welcoming environment, a feeling of hope and a sense of belonging for students, families, and staff. They're telling you how they want to belong. They're telling you exactly how they want to belong and what they would like in order to feel supported and comfortable in their growth right now. And they want recognition and a seat at the table. Thank you.
We've got Jana Lewis, then Sue Timer, and then Cortland Fitzgerald.
Good evening, President Cruz, Dr. Schaefer, and members of the board. My name is Jana Lewis, and I stand before you tonight representing the Thompson Education Support Professional Association, or TESPA. We are the classified staff of this district, the bus drivers, paraeducators, cafeteria workers, custodians, office staff, and so many, many more who make our schools function every day. We are the backbone of this district, and we are here tonight to ask you for your respect and your partnership. We are your neighbors. We live in these communities. Our children attend these schools. We are invested in the success of our students and the well-being of our district. We love our jobs. We are dedicated to our students and to providing the best possible support for their education. However, we face significant challenges. Many of us struggle to make a living wage in this district. We are working harder than ever, and we are seeing our colleagues leave for better opportunities elsewhere. As we discussed at the last board meeting, 20% of classified staff in Thompson left their position this spring before the school year has even ended. This turnover disrupts the stability of our schools and negatively impacts our students. We know better than anyone what we need to improve our working conditions and professional development. We know what it takes to create a positive and productive learning environment for our students. We are the experts in our roles, and we want to have a voice in the decisions that affect our work and our students' learning spaces. We believe that by partnering with the district, we can make Thompson School District a truly exceptional place for students and staff alike. We want to work collaboratively to improve our working conditions, retain quality employees, and ensure that our students receive the support they need to thrive. We understand the importance of fiscal responsibility and challenges facing our district and the state. We are confident that by working together, we can find solutions that benefit everyone. Recognizing TESPA as the sole bargaining unit is the first step to building a strong collaborative partnership, as well as showing us that you value and respect us as professionals. It is my honor and privilege tonight to present you with 543 signatures of over 60% of your classified staff, asking for the opportunity to work with you and be recognized as the sole bargaining agent for classified employees. I am reminded of the powerful, insightful words of Maya Angelou. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. We are ready to work with you. We are ready to make a difference. We are ready to make Thompson School District the best it can be for our students. Thank you for your time and consideration.
We got Sue Timer, Cortland Fitzgerald, and then Leah Johnson.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Schaefer, members of the board. I'm Sue Timer, and I'm president of the Thompson Education Association. And I'm here to talk to you about the amazing collaboration we had through negotiations this year between district administrators representing you as the board and teachers in Thompson. As you know, we had a lot of tough questions, a lot of long days spent working through things, and together collaboratively we have come up with plans that will improve education for students in Thompson, will improve working conditions for teachers, and will help with the retention of staff, recruitment and retention of staff. I'm really proud of the work we have done. After we had reached a tentative agreement, we did send it to the TEA body for ratification. We had 69% of our members vote, and over 99% of those members voted to ratify it. So I want you to know that there's a strong support from the teachers for the tentative agreement you will be looking at tonight, and I can only hope that at some point you will also be hearing a report like this from TESPA, that they have also been collaboratively working with you to move things forward. Thank you.
We've got Cortland Fitzgerald, then Leah Johnson, and then Lori Goebel. Well, then, if Cortland is not speaking, we've got Leah Johnson and then Lori Goebel.
Good evening, Board of Education. Thank you for your service. I know these positions can be thankless. So I'm here breaking up the TESPA testimony, but super supportive of them and what they're doing for sure. I am here to follow up on my daughter, Frankie, who came and spoke to you and eloquently in Spanish in support of the dual language immersion program and the magical school that is Truscott Elementary. I try and come at least once or twice a year to express my gratitude to you all and them as a school and in the district, so people know what the amazing things that are happening all around our district and specifically at Truscott Elementary School. I get emotional because I am so grateful to send my children to a place every day that I know they are taken care of. There are educators there who love them and care for them and are invested in who they are as humans and who they are and what they're becoming. And I know I now have a 5th grader who's going to go to Bill Reed next year, and I'm very excited to start to work with Bill Reed as well on how we continue to develop and encourage and foster the DLI program in our district and celebrate it as a program that truly creates a global community right here in Loveland. And we were so lucky to have the 10-year celebration. And I saw some of you there just a week ago, I guess now. And I just want to stop and pause and celebrate what that means for our community and for our students and the kids that are a part of it. And it's truly building that global community. And my daughter's ability to speak Spanish has now expanded her horizons and her ability to learn and have friends. We had the gift to go and live in Mexico for 3 months earlier this year and went to school there because of the gift of the DLI program. She's traveling to Spain this summer because of the gift of the DLI program. And so I think it's so powerful that we are creating a global community right here in Loveland. And it's because of that program. And so I just want to thank the district. I know that there's been some questions about how it's proceeding, and I know that I want to thank you all for stepping up. I still believe there's work to be done, but I think that we're moving in the right direction, and I want to thank you for that. And again, I would just want to give my deepest gratitude to the educators at Truscott Elementary School for making my children's educational experience nothing short of magic. So thank you.
And last up, we have Lori Goebel. Lori Goebel? Okay. All right, Lori Goebel, if you are coming from the other room, you're the last one up. Nobody. And we don't have any call-ins, correct? Mm-hmm.
We're trying to be patient. I don't see her. If she comes, we can take it in. Yeah, all right. We're going to assume that's the end of public comment. And we are ready to move on to our action consent items. All right, our action consent items are items that we have seen at previous meetings or have standard pieces that come through each month, like maybe there's a resolution, or it could be it's our donations, or it's cost over $50,000. So these are the things. It's a long list. So I'm going to share it, read it all the way through, and then I'll ask my partners up here if anybody has something they want removed or pulled to another item. And then we'll do these all as one. But this is a long list, so be patient. 5.1 is the approval of personnel extra duty coaching recommendations. 5.2 was the approval of expenditures over $50,000. 5.3 is the approval of the second reading exhibit JQE, student fees. 5.4 is the approval of elementary English language arts curriculum, benchmark advanced, benchmark adelante, with the associated learning costs. 5.5 is the approval of the Head Start community assessment. 5.6 is the approval of the termination of the YMCA lease agreement. 5.7 is the approval of the 2025 director district boundary. 5.8 is the approval of the revised grant contract with Larimer County and Thompson Career Center, the TCC. 5.9 is the approval of the contract of EV bus charging stations. 5.10 is the approval of the second reading of DID inventories and property accounting. 5.11 is the approval of probationary licensed staff contracts. 5.12 is the approval of the 2025-2026 Thompson School District Organization Chart. 5.13 is the approval of the proclamation recognizing National Teacher Appreciation Week. hold on. Just a minute. Is that it? Okay. All right. I'm sorry it was so long, and then I thought I had a little bit more on another page. Is there anything that the board members want to pull for further discussion? Nancy?
I would like to pull item 5.2 and 5.9.
5.2 and 5.9. So 5.2 is the approval of expenditures, okay? 5.9 is the bus charging stations. All right, so we will renumber all of that. I assume that Laura Lee will take care of that to get them numbered correctly for us. Thank you. All right, I will discuss those. They'll move to our next item. Yeah. Okay, this is also the time when I would like Stu to read the approval of the proclamation recognizing National Teacher Appreciation Week.
I'm honored to do this. Proclamation honoring National Teacher Appreciation Week. Whereas teachers mold future citizens through guidance and education, and whereas teachers encounter students of widely differing backgrounds, and whereas our country's future depends upon providing quality education to all students, and whereas teachers spend countless hours preparing lessons, evaluating progress, counseling and coaching students, and performing community service. And whereas our community recognizes and supports its teachers in educating the children of this community. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Thompson School District Board of Education proclaims May 5 through 9, 2025 to be Teacher Appreciation Week. And be it further resolved that the Thompson School District Board of Education strongly encourages all members of our community to join with it in personally expressing appreciation to our teachers for their dedication and devotion to their work.
Thank you, Stu. We appreciate all of the teachers, that's for sure. All right, I will take a motion to approve the items with the exception of the two that have been pulled.
So moved.
Second. So I have a first from Don and a second from Denise?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, Laura Lee, would you please call the roll?
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman.
Aye.
Amy Doran. Dawn Kirk.
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumfeld.
Aye.
Thank you. And it carries. All right, let's move into our discussion action items. The first discussion action item is the approval of the tentative agreement for negotiations, which Sue was talking about. Does anybody have any questions about this agreement? Okay. You're going to come up and share a little bit with us, Tom? Is that what you, okay.
If you would like.
That's fine.
That's fine. And I don't think so, because we went over that. Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Schaefer, Tom Teixeira, Director of Human Resources. I'm here along with a few of my colleagues for negotiations team. Sue will be presenting with me also to answer any questions for you.
Okay.
I'm Sue Timer, President of Thompson Education Association.
So thank you for having us tonight. This discussion action item, we had provided a bunch of information at the last meeting, and so we're really just here to find out if there's any questions that you have for us. And the slideshow, I don't believe, is working right. So just to highlight parts of the agreement that we had talked about, having the increases for staff and maintaining the insurance. It's a big support for staff moving forward, and we just wanted to make sure that we talk about the great relationships that we have with TEA and the association and the fun we have in spring, negotiating over a few hours and a few meetings.
You have good snacks. I've been there.
We have good snacks.
Any other information you want us to know? Okay, folks, do you have questions? Okay, let's start down at Denise. Do you have any questions or? Okay. Alexandra? Nancy?
I only have a comment in that I think it's good that there was some movement coming forward on the discipline behavior issues. I will say that I hope that this task force that's going to be put in place, because we've already had this study for like 2 years. And I think, as we heard from the classified tonight, this is an issue that doesn't just affect teachers, it affects the entire organization. And so I'm really hopeful and looking forward to what this task force comes up with, because it's a critical issue we need to solve. And I would encourage you to really make sure that we have good parent representation with this, because they're part of the solution. But I just wanted to share my concerns. I just think it's such an important issue.
I appreciate you bringing that up, and that is absolutely a very big deal for teachers. I will tell you that part of that task force, one of their charges is to be sure that classified staff can now also input discipline referrals, which has been a really big issue that they couldn't. So definitely, even though they're not at the table, there's something that we really care deeply about as well.
Okay.
All right, Stu?
I don't.
Don?
I guess I would hope that we could have classified representation, given that, the intensity of some of the things we heard just this evening, and the fact that we know that we see different challenges that might exist in different environments, as you all are aware. So I would love to see that as well, in order to be able to really get to those solutions that are systemic and not just solving one at a time. That'd be great.
Okay. I would take a motion to approve the tentative agreement from negotiations.
So moved.
I'll second. Or
Go ahead.
I guess it's the tie.
First from Don and a second from Nancy. All right, Laura Lee, would you please call the roll?
Stu Boyd,
Aye.
Denise Chapman,
Aye.
Amy Doran, Don Kirk,
Aye.
Barbara Cruz,
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem,
Aye.
Nancy Rumpel.
Aye.
Yay. Congratulations. All right, thank you very much.
One bit of business with the concluding statement. We'll just do the signatures for
Right.
Barb and Sue and date, so I'll just.
Okay. Okay, we have to really track Amy down this week. Okay, do you have a pen? Here, I got one now. I don't write with, 2 places? No, oh, that's, yeah, yeah. No, I wouldn't do that. Okay, there you go. All right. Our next one is the approval of our incoming superintendent contract. Does anybody have any discussion or questions about it? Yay. I would take a motion to approve the incoming superintendent's contract.
So moved.
So moved.
Or seconded.
Okay, Stu and then Dawn. Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd,
Aye.
Denise Chapman,
Aye.
Amy Doran, Don Kirk,
Aye.
Barbara Cruz,
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem,
Aye.
Nancy Rumpel.
Aye.
Yay. So we have a replacement, and it's free. You will be free to go when it's time. We aren't going to hold you hostage.
Not yet, though, Dr. Schaefer. You have
Yeah.
a few more things to accomplish.
All right. The next item then is going to be 6.3, which I think is the expenditures over 50,000 that Nancy pulled. Did you share with us?
I pulled this because when we were at the study session, this item, particular item wasn't on the list. And it was brought to my attention by a constituent. It's the Complete Digital LLC for $60,000 for the TSD digital promotional videos. And so I did an RFI that I believe Bob completed, maybe Mike helped him as well. So my concern with it is, A, in reading this policy, I'm a little, I'd just like clarification first on, because the money's already been expended, it's already been committed, obligated, And so we've already spent this money, $60,000 for 2 videos to run for 2 months. So to me, it would seem that this is something that should come before the board before we commit those dollars in case there's questions or an issue. That's one issue. The second one is based on my looking at the video and seeing what was being done for $60,000, it's just my opinion. I don't think that was a good use of money. I think there's other ways we can engage and educate the community. I think the $60,000 could have been far better spent. In fact, on some of these paraprofessionals tonight, or some supplies for them or for the teachers. I don't think that this was a good use of money. And unfortunately, because these are all lumped in one, I have to vote no on everything on this list, even though it's only one thing. So that's the reason I pulled it.
Any further comments? Discussion?
I guess I'd just like to point out that I've seen the ad dozens of times in the last few nights. And so I guess the saturation that we're getting for that is pretty remarkable. And I just wanted to point that out, that there is high visibility on that. So I think as far as cost is concerned, I've been seeing it a lot.
Anybody else? Mr. Ebersol?
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Schaefer, reporting for Mike Hausman, who's at his daughter's 8th grade graduation tonight.
Oh, that's right, he is.
Part of the expenses of this is ongoing expenses that for other advertising communications, and that was less than $50,000. This additional ad campaign pushed it over $50,000, so that's part of why it's coming to at this point. But I understand with the concern, we're trying to have these contracts to you before they actually get to that point. We will work with that on the future.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I would take a motion to approve the, approval of the expenditures over 50,000.
So moved. Second.
So that was Denise and Don. Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman.
Aye.
Amy Doran. Don Kirk.
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpelt.
No.
All right, so that motion passes. Excuse me. 5-1. All right, the next one is 6.4 is going to be the one of approval of the contract for EV bus charging stations. Nancy?
I pulled it simply because it's staying consistent in the way I've been voting on the electric buses using federal and state grant money. That also requires us to destroy 3 other buses in order to get these electric buses. I just stand by. I don't believe it's an appropriate use of any taxpayer money, regardless of the source. And it's especially frustrating when we're looking at potentially cutting special education transportation as we're buying these 3 buses. So I'm just pulling it so I can vote no. Thank you.
All right, I'll take a motion for the approval of the contract for EV bus charging stations.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. So that was Dawn and Alexandra. Laura Lee, please call the roll.
Stu Boyd.
Aye.
Denise Chapman.
Aye.
Amy Doran. Don Kirk.
Aye.
Barbara Cruz.
Aye.
Alexandra Lessem.
Aye.
Nancy Rumpelt.
No.
All right, we'll move into our discussion items now. And we'll begin with 7.1, which is middle school bell schedule. Mr. Robinson. And Sarah. Okay, I didn't realize you were coming too. All right.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Schaefer, members of the board. Sarah Rasmussen, Interim Assistant Superintendent of Learning Services. And this evening, I have the privilege of being able to introduce the presentation for the middle school common bell schedule for the upcoming school year. First, we'd like to start off by just making the Strive 2025 connection. As we are looking at this adjustment to our middle school bell schedule, We are impacting student achievement, as well as focus area 2, which is inclusive and supportive culture. So when we think about our goal in Thompson School District, it's to ensure that we have a guaranteed and viable curriculum. So when we think about that, we are thinking about high quality instructional materials. Each student has access to that. We also want to make sure that each student has access to strong instructional strategies in each classroom. And a third component of a guaranteed and viable curriculum is making sure that each student has equal time within the content. And so this evening, our team will explain a little bit more about how this middle school bell schedule is going to do just that.
Greetings, Madam President, Dr. Schaefer, members of the board. I'm Theo Robeson, Executive Director of Secondary Ed. So when we look at our agenda, one of the things I wanted to bring up is the current state of reality as it relates to our middle school bell schedules. And so we're able to see that we actually have a ton of autonomy that we give our schools in order to create their own bell schedules. And so within this, some of the things that we find that are indifferent to one another are some of the things such as our dual language immersion time. So because we allow our our teachers to plan the schedules, sometimes we see that we have inequity there in those areas. Also, we see that we have shortage in elective time amongst our schools as well. So in some schools in variation, there's a certain amount of time that we allocate to our actual elective programs too. And then in addition to that, one of the things that, as Sarah, our assistant superintendent, just stated, is that we really want to ensure that we have instructional time that's more aligned across the system as well, in order to ensure that the guaranteed viable curriculums that the districts are bringing on board is actually being implemented with integrity. And then also, one of the things that we saw that was in discrepancy as well is our teacher plan time. So we've seen a ton of variation throughout our different middle schools as it relates to teachers' plan time. And so when we think about the professional learning that we've been developing in the system around professional learning communities, these are one of those areas where that plan time is critical to support our teachers. Also, one of the things that we have within our presentation is the timeline. And so when we started this work, Sue Tamer, our TEA president, and myself, one of the things that we found in our initial committee meetings is the importance of understanding what's working and what's not working with that current system pertaining to the autonomy that we were providing to our schools. And so what we were able to do during 2 8-hour meetings between November to January was we actually kind of worked through what are our working and non-working components of the schedules that we currently have. Then in February, what we were able to do was trying to refine some of that conversation with the purpose of developing our priorities and using that interest-based model that we use in negotiations to better define some of the priorities that we were going to have. And so within that, some of those priorities obviously would be our students having the appropriate classroom time for the instruction that we need, but then also teachers having that adequate plan time as well. And then from there, what we were able to do is actually create some videos, and actually some of the board members were actually available in our middle school advisory committee to facilitate some of that table conversations with our students, but we were able to show that and take some feedback from our students. Then in March, what we were able to do was solicit more stakeholder feedback from our actual parent community, and then also our students as well. And then we took that work back to our committee to try to refine some of those schedules as well. And then also currently we're in the process of doing some conversations pertaining to professional development to better support our system around planning specifically for our students that are multilingual learners and our students that are have disabilities as well. And then one of the things that came up also in April was that when we got all of our survey results back, we also took that work back to our teachers and had our teachers vote on the schedule that they felt would best meet their needs as well. And then so Sue will be able to talk to you more about that process.
Right, so out of some of those 8-hour days, we ended up creating 4 schedules that met the various criteria that the district put forward, how many minutes of instruction in each subject, and a variety of those kinds of pieces. So 2 of the schedules were very, very similar. They each had ELO, which is going to be an advisory / intervention kind of time. One put it at the beginning of the day and one put it at the end. So we referred to those as Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 and just kind of lumped them together. But those schedules had core class periods of 65 minutes each on long days, 56 minutes on Wednesdays, elective classes of 42 minutes and 40 minutes on Wednesdays, 4-minute passing time between classes, 30-minute lunch. And then that ELO time was 33 minutes on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and 15 minutes on a Wednesday. There was a very different schedule built at Schedule 3. It had a Monday, Tuesday, a traditional 6-period day with anywhere from 53 to 56 minutes. Wednesday, late start, but with 6 shortened periods, 43 to 46 minutes. And then Thursday and Friday in that schedule had a block schedule with 3 extended blocks of about 108 or 110 minutes each. One of them was split by lunch. And then in addition to that, there was an interesting component so within those, the core and the electives were the same length of time. So each of those blocks and then the smaller times on Monday, Tuesday, those were all the same amount of time for elective class or a core class. And then an interesting component of that was that there was this interesting 3 periods around lunch, which students would get lunch, intervention, and extension. So each student would get one of each of those within that chunk in the middle, and then those blocks or the other periods would be out and before it. One of the drawbacks to that, in many people's eyes, was that passing period had to be shrunk to 3 minutes in order to meet all of those other minutes. And then there was a 4th schedule, which had Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 7-period day with additional ELO time. The periods were 55 minutes each for core and elective. And again, passing time of 3 minutes. And then lunch was scheduled, staggered throughout the middle of the day. And Wednesday was similar to that with just a little bit shorter schedule. And okay, so then we shared these with the Middle School Advisory Committee. Some of you were there. It was kind of interesting to see big takeaways from the Middle School Advisory. 3 minutes is not adequate for passing. We probably should have 5, but 4 would do. And don't shorten my lunch. Not that any of these shortened lunches, because teachers are guaranteed a duty-free lunch. But here are some of the things they said. So when they looked at the 1 and 2, they said they liked the passing period. They liked ELO at the end on 1, and some liked it on 2, where it was at the beginning. Lunch was too early. They didn't like back-to-back electives. They wanted more breaks spread out. Kids see the world in ideal terms, right? So there were several things, but really they were things they might say about any schedule. When they looked at Schedule 3, they didn't have a lot of positive to say about it. They did like that core and electives were the same amount of time, but they said the schedule was too complicated, which you might have heard from teachers as well. And passing period was too short, and they thought lunch would be too short because they would only eat for 15 minutes and have 15 minutes of recess. I don't know why that didn't come up anywhere else because it was the same. And they thought electives might be confusing in that. They also looked at Schedule 4. They liked that it had equal class time for core and elective classes. They did not like 3-minute passing. Lunch is too short, lunch is too early, ELO is too short, those kinds of things. We also looked at, and there are links in your slideshow that take you to the summary of the results from the students as well as results from parents. We didn't have a lot of students or parents able to complete it. I think we just didn't have a long enough time period. There's one slide in your show show that shows you looking at where votes fell by school. And I'll go into talking about that a little bit more from a different angle of criteria. But if you look at that, you just see that votes were all over the place. The color wheels are different across the schools. And that told you that we weren't finding consistency in responses from the schools for sure. There wasn't one thing that was completely standing out. Schedules 1 and 2 were preferred, but not strongly and not consistently. We had the team working on this create priorities and criteria, we would call in negotiations, and they prioritized those. And their top priority was collaborative plan time. And when we looked at collaborative plan time, Schedule 1 and 2 was preferred, and then Schedule 4, and not very many people liked Schedule 3 in terms of collaborative plan time. Another was meeting the needs of each student, which was talked a lot about the small populations, multilingual learners, students in special education or gifted education. And if you see, the vote looks fairly similar. 1 and 2 had the best, were seen the best, Schedule 4, and then Schedule 3. Actually, if you go through, I think people started to look at these schedules and think one schedule of some type could do it all because the votes kind of come through the same. Equitable for teachers, again, 1 and 2, then 4, and then 3. Sustainable, this was pretty big because we don't want to make a lot of change for something that we can't continue. Again, 1 and 2 preferred, then Schedule 4, then Schedule 3. And one more area that we had them look at was student voice and choice. Will students have opportunities for choice? Will their voices be heard? Again, 1 and 2, and then 4, and 3 was not popular across the board. So when we looked at all of this, we realized that there was not a strong winner among them. There was not one that seemed to meet all of that. They all meet the requirements from the district. They all, to some degree, meet the priorities that the team set up. And so it was suggested by Dr. Schaefer, and it agreed upon when we looked at that, to pilot 3 of the schedules. We took 3 out because it was a complicated schedule and it was not appreciated by the teachers or any of the groups as much. 1 and 2 that are almost exactly the same, except that they have ELO at the beginning of the day or the end of the day. There's a lot of philosophy on that. Those were available for piloting. And 4, which has core and elective the same in their 7 periods through the day. So each school was able to pick one of those 3 schedules to pilot for this upcoming year. And as it turned out, 2 of the schools are going with 1 or 2, and 2 of them are going with 4. So it will be interesting to see data. We plan to look at data next year and see how achievement's going and look at various other criteria and try to determine if one of these schedules is leading the way or whether perhaps this is something, because they all meet so many of the criteria, perhaps they could continue to pick between them. Miss anything? Okay. Questions?
I'm going to start.
Okay.
The K-8s, are they part of this or not? Because I sat in on some of those sessions, and it was so explained to us.
That is a really good question. We realized that K-8s can't necessarily do the same thing that the middle schools can do. So right after we got started with the process with middle school, a couple weeks later or something, we started the same process with K-8s. But their schedules are so complex that even before we got to the point of the voting and whatever that we did with middle school, we said, we need to put a time on this and we need to bring K-8s back together next year.
Okay, that makes sense. I'll start down here. Any questions? Stu?
Yes. Will the pilots be for the entire school year next year?
Yes.
Will you do any mid-year or part-year evaluation, or are you waiting until the end of the year to do it?
So what we know we want to look at is we want to look at our student sense of belonging data, the staff's data also in Panorama Survey. We're also going to look at the beginning of the year and compare that to the middle of the year iReady data as well. And then we also want to reconvene our committee to also get some additional things we want to look for as well.
Okay. Follow-up question to that. If one of the pilots appears to be a disaster partway through the year, are you going to continue it for the entire year anyway, or might you switch to one of the other options?
That's not a question we had addressed yet, but I think as we're pulling people together, if one of the schedules isn't working, obviously we need to look at something. I don't know that we would have enough data to see that any of them was a disaster early in the year, but certainly, I mean, I don't think we're tied to something that isn't working for students,
I was
really.
actually thinking about maybe mid-year. By mid-year, something could emerge as just not working. So you are prepared to address that if it happens.
And
Thank you.
You know, and I'll add in a little bit more to that too. So some of the rationale of comparing middle of the year. So what we'll look at is the current iReady data that's coming in for end of the year. Then we'll look at the beginning of the year iReady data, then the middle of the year iReady data. And there would be some opportunities like we've had in the past where students have changed, the principals have changed some schedules in our system at the mid-year because they saw some things weren't working. So there would be some opportunity, but we don't want to think that into existence. So.
Well, thanks for not being locked into something that doesn't work.
Nancy?
I was there when they were doing it, and it was actually really quite interesting, some of their comments. But I was going to point out to you, so at my table, it did get brought up about a 5-minute passing period. And all of the kids were just like, we don't need it, and anyone who needs 5 minutes, they're just wasting it. They're trying to do, no, I mean, these were the kids saying it. I just listened. So they all seemed to really like the 4-minute. But when you brought up the 5-minute, I was like, I remember when they were all just like, no, no one needs 5 minutes. But it was a really good collaborative process with all the kids.
Alexandra?
I just have a question about, I know, well, one, I'm glad nobody's doing 3 because that sounded way too confusing. But my question is, how many class periods typically do they have? Because I know that one had 6, and then 4 has 7, and does 1, 2 have 7 as well? And is that standard? Is that like what they have now is 7, or what? Does that vary between schools as well?
So 1, 2 have 6 plus the ELO. And so each teacher is teaching 4, although of core. Electives, it would look a little bit different because 1 and 2 have that shortened elective period to get more electives in. But for core teachers, they're teaching 4 of the 6 periods. The other 2 periods, the kids are in electives. And then everybody's teaching the ELO.
Okay, and so for Schedule 4, the 7 periods, one of those is ELO as well? So there's still like the 4 cores, 2 electives, and then ELO? Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you.
And Denise?
No questions, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Actually,
going back
I
to-
do have
okay.
something,
All
sorry.
right. That's good.
I just wanted to throw back to little old me when I was shorter. Believably, I was at one point shorter at Walt Clark. And I needed more than the time we had. And I have heard from multiple students who have varying needs that aren't represented by our student focus groups, that the current time isn't enough. And so I did want to make sure that that doesn't get lost, because there are students who are already struggling, whether it's due to their height and their short legs, or whether it is because of any other need that gets moved into those short passing periods. Some of our buildings are bigger than others, and some of our classes, it's dumb luck, right? You have the classes that are the farthest apart, close back to back, and that kind of thing. So I do want to make sure that that gets brought back into this because I have that come up multiple times every year from students who aren't in that focus group.
All right, thank you, you guys. Our next item is 7.2, and it's the 2025-2026 Budget Development Update.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Schaefer. My name is Bob Ebersol. I'm Chief Financial Officer, and with me is Zach Moser, who's our Director of Finance. Our first slide talks about our connection with Strive 2025, which relates to the increased alignment of resources to reflect the needs identified in the strategic plan, some of which you heard tonight with the earlier presentations, and to provide transparency in the use of resources. We are following the same procedure we did last year, where we give you a preliminary budget now. We have the draft full budget will be available next week. That will be available online, and per board policy, it will be available at the Berthoud and Loveland Libraries, the Loveland Chamber of Commerce, and there will be a notice of this budget being available in the Reporter Herald. Monday, June 9th, we'll be holding a community forum in this room from 5 to 7 p.m. That's included in the advertisement. The June 4th board study is when you'll have the full discussion on the full budget, and then that will come back again to your final June meeting on June 18th. We'll have another opportunity for public comment separate from the regular public comment. So our pupil count is going down. It's going down approximately 500 students this year, starting for next year. Again, that can change as of October 1st. We never know that for sure, but that's pretty consistent with what's going on throughout Colorado as well. Program revenue. State of Colorado continues to teach me new lessons as we go along with the revenue. The number that we have at this point is the final budget that was signed by the governor and finalized thereafter at $159 million. That is a hold harmless number that does not take into effect of our reduced student population. They have told us we're going to get that same number next year, regardless of student population. Now, if the student population goes up, we will get additional aid, but that's what we know at this point. Not taking bets on the legislature. Our override money that's coming in, we have a cap, and it's based on the state aid that you get, 25% plus a cost of living adjustment. Seems to be a reverse incentive, because if state aid goes down, our percentage max goes down as well. It almost seems like we should be able to make up the difference, but I don't write the laws. So we'll be, we've given you information on, we are getting additional revenue that's been factored into preliminary budget at this time. Other revenue that we get reimbursement for transportation. Doesn't cover the entire part, but it covers a portion. We get money for special education. Doesn't cover the entire program, but it covers a portion of it. Career and technical education, we get money. Doesn't cover the whole thing, but it's a portion. Specific ownership tax, we all pay taxes that get funneled back to us from the various taxing agencies. Universal pre-K, there's revenue. Doesn't cover everything, but covers a lot. All of the revenue. This year, we have upped the estimate based on investment income. That was lower in the past years. We're trying to be frugal with our estimate, but trying to capture as much as we possibly can to try to get to a point where next year, at the end of the year, our revenues are as close as estimate as possible. FTE costs. As we've said before, about 80% of our costs are in staffing costs, including salaries and benefits. This year, health insurance has gone up 13%, which is about $2.3 million to the district. You approved the contract tonight, so the licensed staff will be receiving a 2.5% to each cell, and that we will be funding the steps and columns as people get additional educational duties and move up on the steps. That's approximately another 2%. This is offset by reduced a full-time equivalent of about 43 positions due to the reduced pupil count. And I'll talk a little bit about that. So the process this year included Human Resources, Business Services, Executive Directors of Elementary, Secondary, and Special Ed. We reviewed the needs and requests of staffing for each school. Because of the expertise of the room in there, they looked at the demographics, scores, the staff skills at the schools, and the compliance requirements for special education, Medicaid, and title funds. That's a lot to consider. I was impressed in my short tenure with the expertise of the people in the room. They knew what was going on at each school. Then that created a staffing pattern that was sent back to the principals. They appealed some things, saying we need a little bit more. You may not know about these various things like that. A process was included to increase it to a certain extent, but we still had reduction of staff during that part. During my various visits with the principals, they knew what they were doing. They understood at the local level what they needed to do to make sure that the students were going to get the proper education. There is no increase to the employer or employee share of the para cost for retirement. At this point, that's a really great thing. This staffing costs, let me come back to that part. The classified administrative and professional staff were receiving the similar pay as the licensed of 4.5%. And for the classified employees, we've been able to include a 5.5% with the recognition we're trying to include the staffing for those employees. We took into account the DAC recommendations, which included we need to make sure we were paying our teachers what they should be paying. The negotiated salary is bringing the salary to, I believe, close to a $55,000 starting salary, which is your goal was trying to get eventually to a $60,000 level at some point. I will note, having worked in the nonprofit world for many years, that we are reducing student pupil count and therefore reducing teachers. That doesn't reduce the administrative burden that we have because of the reporting the requirements for Medicaid, Title V, special ed requirements, Colorado Department of Education, the Federal Department of Education. You still need a certain level of administrative staff to comply with that. You go back to the audit from last year with one of the recommendations that you need additional staffing in the finance department for compliance, for grant compliance. That's part of the discussion. So at this point, there is no reduction in administrative costs at this point. And in fact, there's an increase due to the pay raises that will be given. That will certainly be reviewed as we go forward this next year. I included a chart that included reductions in the budget. What we should have said is reduction of the budget requests. So we have a line that says we're reducing utilities by $200,000. Actually, utilities are going up $400,000. We reduced the budget for utilities by $200,000 and moved that over to the debt because we are going to have a $5 million project to reduce water and electric use by increasing energy efficiency in the buildings. So we're moving the savings that we're getting from the utility and moving it into a debt type of account so we pay the lease purchase for that items. So a lot of the items, so for instance, facilities maintenance is a $550,000 decrease. Actually, we funded it at $600,000 last year and the request was $1.6 million. We have millions of needs for us. We understood why that was requested. In order to balance the budget, we requested that reduce that $1.6 million by about $550,000. So there are various other items that we were done were actual cuts to what was a level funded budget in order to balance the budget for what we had for available resources. Not included in our cuts were any projected impacts of new tariffs, which our IT department is estimating of a 20 to a 30% increase in our computer costs. Luckily, we've been able to buy in advance. Any potential recession that may come down the pike. We've also not included the proceeds of the sale of the Monroe School. When that actually comes through for expenditure, that will help start bringing back some capital items. So I've already talked about the hold harmless. The other thing, as I've talked about in my looking at and Zach's looking at our financials and how we reported to you. We have an Excel budget system, and we have a computer system that's a programmed software package. They may talk to each other to an extent, but the numbers are correct, but they're in different places. So when we, for anybody in the public that might have looked at the financial spreadsheet, the summary of the thing, it looks like we're spending much more money on staff than budgeted and less on non-staff. Well, in looking at the line items, the non-FTE line items, which is down below, actually includes $8 million worth of staffing, which includes extra duty contracts, the athletic directors, the band, a lot of those things that are legitimate expenses that we have. The substitute budget is down below. Incentives, extra hours for drivers, for bus drivers, that's down below. So therefore, but our business plus software, when it reports out our year-to-date expenses, shows it up above compared to the FTEs. You move them back together, they will then explain what's going on. So we ask you to look at the bottom line as opposed to some of the line items. Starting July 1st, we're going to be running a budget, and we'll be running the financials in the Business Plus software, not in Excel. Your reports are going to be coming out differently. As I talk about, when you go and you buy a liter of Coke, how many quarts is that? I don't care. It's just a liter of quarts. We're going to be converting to the new system. You're going to have new reports. It's going to be much more streamlined, and we'll be getting it out to you at that point. That's a long way of explaining where we are with the preliminary budget. This was to give you a snapshot. You will be getting next week, in addition to the public part, we will be getting you copies of the full budget in the format. We're still using last year's format. We didn't have time to change everything. We're not going to have as much of the comparisons that we'd like to do. We're not going to have as much of the narrative as we will in the future. But Zach and I are committed to getting it to the point where it's going to be very user-friendly. We've already talked to all the departments and the principals. They're going to be getting monthly reports, budget to actual, and that's going to be helping us. So open up to various questions that you may have.
So with licensed staff, you did talk rows and columns. How is classified? I mean, do they have a similar system, or are their raises just based on tenure?
The raises for classified and APT are based on where they are now, so they don't have steps and columns in the same way that the licensed staff do.
Thank you.
Alexandra?
No, I don't think so. I had a couple of questions, but you answered them, so thank you.
That's my goal, is try to answer your questions before you ask them.
Nancy?
First, I appreciate, as always, all the work that you and Zach and the rest of the team do. It's really nice on the non-FT report to see that what was going on is now it's going to all be up above where it should be. So that's really good. As far as anything else, sorry, my throat. I know we're giving the classified 5.5% raise. I think it was the beginning of this year, maybe it was last year, when we had said we were going to raise everybody up to 19 so that no one would make less than at Walmart. My understanding at that time was that every classified person, no one would be below 19, but in one of our meetings, I heard differently. So I just want to make sure that no classified person should be making less than 19. And if that's the case, then we need to absolutely figure out a way to make that happen, because when we did that raise to, so that no one made less than at Walmart, that was what my understanding was. And I just want to make sure that we do what we need to make that true. And then the other thing is I appreciate what you're saying about the APT, staff reductions, but whether maybe it's not this year, but next year, I can guarantee we're going to have to start looking at how do we improve the efficiencies for all these reports that are required, because we can't, with our budgets and enrollment, we can't keep supporting the same level of APT and then cut teachers and classified. That's just the way I view it. But I look forward to the rest of the budget. I think I'll wait for my other questions until then. But again, what you sent me really helped. You know me, I flipped the numbers in my spreadsheet and then everything it made sense, just like you said. So I appreciate the work and thank you.
We'll come back regarding the lowest paid employee and take your consideration about admin under consideration.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bob, the PPR amount for next year is $11,315, is that right?
That's correct.
What's the amount for this year?
Ooh. I know that. No, about 11,000? Yeah, it's just about 11,000 at this point.
It's about 11,000.
I will get you that specific number. Oh, thank you.
11,315 is for next year, I asked about.
Oh, sorry.
For this year.
Sorry.
And I know because you and I had conversation about this, that we were pretty much assured that we would receive $192 more per student that would be reflected in the PPR amount for next year. Did you ever receive an explanation as to what happened after we were pretty much guaranteed that we would see that extra money and then all of a sudden it was taken away? Did you hear an explanation of that?
I have not heard an explanation other than this is what it is. They added some money into the system to correct some inequities for some other school districts. And we got slightly more than we had originally projected before we projected the higher amount, but they did not come up with the final amount. So I have not received an answer to why it was different than what we had projected.
All right. I'd like you to pursue that. I also intend to pursue that with a couple of contacts at CASB and see if we can figure out what happened there.
Thank you.
John?
Okay, I'm gonna have some questions, but I can't quite pull it together in time. So I just want to let you know that I do have a couple that are coming up, mostly around, the size of what we're cutting for next year. I think it's about 2 positions per building. I mean, that's averaging, and I realize that's being really grossly.
Yeah, slightly less because it's about 43 and there's 30 schools.
Okay, yeah, thank you. But none of that's APT, and then classifieds we're keeping the same, is that correct as well?
That's correct.
Okay. I am gonna need more information on some of that, because I have gotten questions from people about that. Mostly, and you gave a good high-level explanation, but if you can provide the next level of detail, that would be really helpful. Essentially, as you were talking about how our APT are mostly funded by these contractual obligations, those haven't changed, even though our pupil count is changing. And teachers is directly related to the people in front of kids. That makes sense generally, but it would be helpful to be able to say, okay, these are the obligations that APT are meeting. In fact, sometimes those things go up to the district in times when we're having to cut based off of pupil count. And so I just kind of would like to see the next level of detail. And then I think we also need to be thinking ahead next year for, some of these challenges of things that we know that are going up in large numbers, right? The 20 to 30% here, the 13% here. I can't even begin to do the math on how much insurance has went up at that 10%, 15% year after year after year. And so I think some of those things that are going up in huge costs are other things that I think we should probably highlight, not before the end of the year, but as you do some of your transition work, that's something that would also be hugely helpful for us, is to just be able to say, this is why these costs are going up. Even though we might have less kids, it's costing us this much more to do everything we do for kids. I know that that sounds like so obvious to anybody who's paying their own bills right now. You know, your own needs aren't going down just because things cost more, right? But I think we need to highlight some of that, not just in the mill and the bond, but as well as like really thinking about kind of taking that specifically for the budget, not just as we talk about the programs. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that because that would help with the questions I'm getting. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? All right. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you. The one thing I will say is that Zach already have on our calendars for January of 2026 to start the following year's budget.
Ooh, that's impressive. All right, we have come to the end of our agenda as far as people sharing with us. We do have one written report. It's the early childhood report that we get monthly. And then there's an announcement that I need to make, and it's about our next meeting, which is June 4th. We will be in a special meeting on June 4th at 5 o'clock, which is our normal start time, regarding a student issue. So our study session that night will start at 6 p.m. Okay, so we will have 1 hour ahead of time and it'll be, it's an executive session that we will be having. All right. Anybody opposed to the idea of ending the evening? Meeting's over.